Hello, chocolate lovers. Today we're going to cover the cost of cocoa, and this is something that can range tremendously, just like any other commodity. In this case, it's a soft commodity. And I've got 4 different samples in front of us. 3 are really good, and they're beans that we either use or would love to use, and 1 is terrible. However, that's on appearance. And so this first one on my left is a really good representation of what commodity cocoa would look like. This was a sample that we received, and we never turned it into chocolate, and I actually think it would make maybe decent chocolate based on a few of them that I tried, but there's just no way we would ever purchase it. And a lot of that is because as a craft chocolate maker, we don't have the large equipment to separate the stones and the little sticks and the flats and the beans that are stuck together or dead. We just don't have the equipment in order and space to have the equipment in order to do that. So this is what this looks like, and I can see right away there's just, I don't know, 3-4 different ferments going on in here that got mixed together. Some of it might not be fermented at all. This is super common. But this could taste better than this, or this. So you can't just go off of appearance. But this is what commodity cocoa or cacao looks like, especially out of West Africa. And so to delve into this a little bit more, the Farmgate price, meaning the price that the farmer would sell the beans for after they've had it dried. And that could mean they fermented it. It could mean that they just skipped that step and tried to dry it as fast as possible, which is more often than not the case. They would sell this for maybe $1.40, $1.50, $1.60 a kilo. Now the commodity price at the moment is $2.26. Last month it was like $2.70. That is a huge decrease for this commodity. That's just massive. It's hard to comprehend and very difficult for a farmer in that case to survive on something like that. Either way, Farmgate price is really, really low. It's kind of poverty wages. Now, this is the difference in craft chocolate. We need to make the best. We don't have time to sit there and sort beans. In fact, as a craft chocolate maker, if you're still sitting there sorting beans, you're doing something wrong. You need to buy from better sources. And so we are at the point where we don't sort anything because it makes a lot more sense to have it sorted in the country of origin at whatever labor costs are not happening at Hawaii labor prices or United States or Europe labor prices. And so this was sorted at origin. I can tell they're super clean. This as well, this as well. This was definitely not, and you can just see it. So to go back a little bit, we once bought cacao from a place in Liberia. It was from Liberation Chocolate was the name. And we had to sort out 25% of what was shipped to us and throw it away. We probably could have gone even more than that, up to 30%. I think when we bought this shipment with Dandelion Chocolate, I think they got rid of 25 or 30%, and we got rid of about 25%. That's tragic, especially when you're really small, to throw away that quantity and not be able to turn it into chocolate. But we were finding rocks this big. It was crazy. So you got to be really careful what you buy. But this, maybe $1.50 a kilo is what the farmer got. And on the commodity market, it traded for about $2 and at the moment 26 cents. Now, we can buy the best chocolate, the best cocoa or cacao in the world for $5 to $10 a kilo. That applies to anything that's not Hawaiian. These two happen to be Hawaiian. You're looking at more like $25 a kilo, anywhere between like $10 to $12 a pound. And that's a really difficult industry to develop, because if you're going to compare that to commodity or really good quality craft chocolate beans, the cost per bar goes up 3 times. Like, so for example, the cost of the cacao in our bar might be 50 cents of beans, whereas the Hawaiian ones will be $1.50. And that's just the cost of the cacao. Then you have to factor in all your labor and overhead, all the COGS, the cost of goods sold, and the operating expenses. And so then the cost per bar continues to increase after that. But just the cacao might be 50 cents or more of non-Hawaiian beans. Now, Hawaiian beans, you're looking at more like $1.50. Let's talk about white chocolate a little bit, just because you would imagine this would be cheaper, but if you break it down and you squeeze the oil out of this, the oil is the most expensive part of this bean. And it's about 50%, but you don't get 50% of cocoa butter out of this. And so the cost of cocoa butter, let's average it at about $10 a kilo. That's more expensive than the beans. This is why white chocolate costs so much. And so the more cocoa butter in your chocolate, or the more cocoa butter in the white chocolate, the more expensive it's going to be. And this is why everyone's always, not everyone, a lot of bigger chocolate makers tend to add a lot of sugar, because that is the cheapest raw material. Sugar is like a dollar, less than $1 a pound that you can buy from Costco. So if you're going to compare that, you'd way rather have a lot more sugar, which people tend to like anyway, in your chocolate. And so if you're going to bring in volume, what we've started to have happen to us is people want to work with us. If we buy a container of beans, we will get options of seller financing. So we will be able to pay over a certain amount of time over the course of the year, because the person selling us the cacao trusts that we're going to pay it and wants us to use it. And so this is a really important step to get to, where you can buy 12.5 tons and maybe go through it in the course of the year. And this is why something like a revolving line of credit becomes so important. So we have a large line of credit from the bank, and for us, it's a $250,000 line of credit, which is really big. But we don't use that much of it unless we need to, but even still, like, we're always under $100,000 when we dip into it. And then you pay it back as you start to turn it back into product, which then you sell and turn it into money and pay it down. And so this is our bank within a bank, but the revolving line of credit is used for raw material purchasing, whether that's beans, butter, sugar. I use it for whatever I want, which would mean if we do remodels, like I didn't use a traditional bank loan when we built the new factory. I just used the line of credit, but I was comfortable with that because I knew that we would try and pay it back as fast as possible, and I didn't want an extended loan. And so that was how I dealt with that. However, revolving lines of credit are often very handy for using raw material purchases, and then you pay them back as fast as you can. As we are in this COVID-19 issue, we'll probably be using it again unless the loans come in sooner. So in order to keep operating and stay alive, we will probably dip into our revolving line of credit unless the government loans kick in sooner. But we'll do whatever we have to do to stay alive, and that's the main goal. So this is covering the costs of cacao on a very large spectrum. Hawaiian being significantly more expensive at $25 a kilo. And then you got your commodity cacao out of Africa. That's a commodity price of currently $2.50 or 26 cents, $2.26 at the moment. Could be different next month. Huge spectrum, but you get what you pay for. And our industry is trying to make the best chocolate. That is the goal, and that is why it's different. You can imagine a bottle of wine. If you were to go out and harvest grapes and you were going to have, I was talking to a sommelier friend today, and he said when they went and harvested with mechanical harvesters, all the grapes that came in also had things like beer cans and rats and lots of sticks and trash mixed in with everything. That's kind of what this is like, and that's would then it gets sorted out, but still, that was with everything as it went into becoming a bottle of wine. We don't want to make that bottle of wine. We want to make the premium chateau where everyone carefully hand selected and then threw out the ones that were either overripe or underripe. So that's what we're doing. I hope this was a good overview for you. See you next time.